Hello everyone, and welcome to Calculating the Annual Percentage Rates of ETFs. I'm your host, Dr. B. Today's episode is a little something different. We're going to be comparing two Schwab accounts, or Schwab ETFs. One is called Schwab U.S. Dividend Equity ETF. That has been on YouTube a lot lately in the past couple of months. So that's why I want to profile this special ETF that pays a dividend quarterly. A high dividend quarterly, around 3.44% annually. But is that going to produce more money over time compared to a large cap ETF like Schwab's SCHX, which I personally own? So the Schwab U.S. Dividend Equity ETFs, their goal is to track the total return of the Dow Jones U.S. Dividend 100 index. The index chooses stocks based on dividend yield, growth, and sustainability. SCHD's portfolio is rebalanced quarterly and has an expense ratio of only 0.06%. However, SCHX goal is to track the total return of the Dow Jones U.S. Large Cap Total Stock Market Index. These are roughly 750 of the largest companies in the United States by market capitalization. SCHX's portfolio is rebalanced quarterly and has an expense ratio of only 0.03%. Now, which one is the better investment for you? So let's look at the exposures of SCHD and then followed by the exposure of SCHX. There are 11 different sectors broken up into cyclical, sensitive, and defensive stocks or ETFs. In this case, SCHD's exposure does not include real estate or utilities. Very little utilities, but is highly invested in financial services of 19%, followed by healthcare of 15.5%, and then consumer defense of 13.67%. Again, anytime you can stop the video to see and study what sectors SCHD is exposed to. Now, SCHX is a little different. They are in all of the sectors, but they're highly in technology. Again, technology is a growth area, followed by financial services, and then healthcare, and they still have 10% in consumer cyclical, but they still invest in real estate and utilities, whereas SCHD does not. SCHD has about 99 equity holdings, of which 41% are in the top 10. And they are as follows. And you might know all of these, or most of them. Home Depot, Cisco Systems, BlackRock, Bristol Myers, Chevron, Lockheed Martin, Verizon, Pfizer, United Parcel Service, otherwise known as UPS, and Pepsi Company. So they average between 3.75 and 4.37%, so they're balanced pretty evenly. So that's pretty good. And you can also look at their one-year returns of each different company. I'm not going to go over each one, but BlackRock had a gain this past year of 66.5%, followed by Verizon of a gain of a little more than 50% by the time I made this video. Now, SCHX has 752 equity holdings, which are 33% in the top 10. And again, you probably know all these. Apple, 6.68%, followed by Nvidia, and then Microsoft, and then Amazon. There's a big drop-off between Microsoft and Amazon. But you can still look at the one-year returns. Apple, 34.2%. Nvidia, a whopping 227%. Now, it's tough to maintain gains like that year after year, but that's why you diversify yourself. But look at these gains. Meta, which used to be called Facebook, 82%. Broadcom, 105%. Eli Lilly in the top 10 at 52% return. But again, the weight is only 1.37% of Eli Lilly. So the rest of the 740 stocks is made up of 1% or less. A lot less. Now, let's look at the most important thing. What does the graphs tell you? Well, Schwab, the SCHD, the dividend equity, if you invested $10,000 in 2014, that $10,000 today will be worth $33,224. Okay, that's pretty good. Year to date, it has a gain of 16.54%. I don't look at the price, I look at the NAV. And then you can see the gains throughout the last 10 years. Again, stop the video any time to see what is done year after year. Always remember, past performance does not indicate future results. But now, what has SCHX, the large cap ETF, done in the past 10 years? More, $37,990. That's over a $4,000 gain in the past 10 years. And this year alone, the stock or the ETF is up nearly 24%. And yes, I am an investor in Schwab U.S. Large Cap ETF. I am not an investor of Schwab Dividend Fund. I do own other dividend funds. All right, we're going to turn up a notch real fast this time because we're going to be doing two ETFs simultaneously side by side. I'll be discussing the statements without showing you the statements, but we're going to be showing you the reasons. And the reasons have not changed. First reason, the present value is equal to your initial principal times 1 plus the rate divided by number times compounded in a year raised to a power of n times t. T stands for time in years. And now we replace it with the numbers that we know. We know now, based upon the previous graphs, that the dividend ETF had a present value of $33,224, whereas the present value of the large cap ETF is $37,990. So that is a difference of $4,766, I believe, if my math is correct. I'm doing it in my head without a calculator. Still, roughly $4,700 is a significant gain over a past 10 years. So you're making $4,700 more money with the large cap fund. But what is the annual percentage rate? So again, let's figure this out. So we divide 10,000 from $33,224, and you get a decimal of 3.3224. And on the right, the decimal is 3.7990. And then we have to take the natural log of both sides. And we do that. We have the natural log of 3.3224 compared to a natural log of 3.7990. And when you use your trusty calculator right here, or your iPhone or your Android, again, that's your responsibility to know how to do calculations on any kind of apparatus such as a calculator or an Android or an iPhone. It's your responsibility. But regardless, you get the following decimals of 1.200687 for the dividend ETF and 1.334738, looks like my Harvard GPA, from SCHX. Again, and then you divide each of these decimals by 40, division property of equality, and then you get a fraction, and then the 40s go away on the right-hand side. And a little bit of fast math here. If we change that 1.2 momentary to 12 divided by 40, somewhere along your life, you should have realized that 12 divided by 40 is a decimal of 0.3. So it makes sense that 1.2 divided by 40 will give you a decimal of 0.03. So this decimal on both sides will be a little bit more than 0.03. And it is at 0.030017 for a dividend ETF compared to 0.033368 for the large cap ETF. And then we take the natural exponent on both sides. And then once again, as I taught previously, when you take a number raised to the power of 0, you get 1. So this number on the left side for both of them will be a little bit more than 1. We have 1.03047 equal to 1 plus R over 4 for the dividend ETF. And then 1.03393 equal to 1 plus R over 4 for the large cap ETF. And then we do subtraction property of equality. We subtract 1 on both sides and get our decimals right here. And then we do multiplication property of equality, multiply both sides by 4. So then you see you get an annual percentage rate of 0.12188. Multiply that by 100, you get your percentage of 12.19%. That's pretty good gain over a 10-year period. However, the large cap ETF pays a lot more. It pays 13.57% over a 10-year period. Now you're saying, well, that's not a lot more. Well, to me, $4,700 is a lot more. Why don't you take a look at, think about this. What if you invested $100,000 over 10 years ago? Then you're talking a $47,000 difference over a 10-year period. Again, over many years and several decades, growth ETFs will generate more wealth than dividend ETFs. But you don't have to rely always on your trusted math teacher. That's why you have a certified financial planner. And then always remember this, and I mention this every video, past performance is not indicative of future results. So please, if you haven't been able to done so far, please subscribe to my channel. Go back and look at this previous video right here. And please, I appreciate your support. Mention me to other people, your friends and family. I'd like to have more subscribers if possible. It'd be great. But thank you again for your support. And I'll be back again next month around the same time, around November 24th, with our next video